Mastering the art of silence, the Stoic power that keeps her hooked life. Philosophy * opening the mystery that speaks louder than words. There's a certain kind of silence that doesn't feel empty. It feels alive. It has weight, pulls you in like gravity, not because it's loud or dramatic, but because it's steady, unwavering, and unshakable. This is the kind of silence that Stoics spoke about centuries ago, the kind that doesn't run away from the world, but stands firmly in it, the kind that commands attention without demanding it. And here's the truth. If you can master this silence, not the silence of awkwardness or avoidance, but the silence born of inner strength, you'll find that people, especially women, become drawn to you in ways words could never achieve. This isn't about games. It isn't about manipulation. It's about building a presence so deeply rooted in who you are that even your quiet moments feel magnetic. Why silence holds so much power. To understand why silence works, you need to know one thing about human nature. We are wired to notice what we cannot fully read. When someone talks endlessly, we may feel entertained for a while, but the mystery fades quickly. When someone speaks only when they choose to, and with purpose, their words carry more weight. Think about the most charismatic leaders, the mentors you respect, or the people whose presence you admire. They're rarely the loudest in the room. Instead, they're the ones who pause before speaking. Eyes seem to read you before they say a word, whose quiet confidence makes you feel like you should lean in to hear them. Silence is not absence. It is a signal, a statement without words that says, I am in control of myself. I am not rushed. I am not desperate for approval. And in a world where so many people are trapped in the noise, the man who is not afraid to be silent stands out. The Stoic philosophy behind it. The ancient Stoics thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus understood something powerful. You cannot control the world. You can control yourself. Their silence wasn't passive. It was intentional. They believed that reacting to every provocation, every comment, every piece of gossip was a sign of weakness. Instead, they practiced restraint, not because they had nothing to say, but because they knew that every word you release into the world carries energy. And once it's out, you can't take it back. So they mastered the art of holding back until the right moment. They chose their battles. They spoke only when their words could add value. In relationships, especially with women, this creates a deep sense of security. Because here's the truth. A man who cannot control his tongue often cannot control his emotions. And a man who cannot control his emotions will eventually lose respect. The modern struggle? Why silence is rare. Today, we live in a world addicted to noise. Notifications, endless scrolling, constant posting. We've been trained to fill every empty space with words, images, and opinions. But here's the paradox. The more we speak, the less we're truly heard. Most men today feel the need to explain themselves, to prove their worth in every interaction. Text back instantly to keep the conversation going at all costs. But in doing so, they strip themselves of one of the most attractive qualities they could have. Mystery. Silence is rare today because it requires two things that are becoming increasingly uncommon. Patience. It's the willingness to let things unfold instead of forcing them. Self-trust, the belief that you don't need constant validation to know your value. When you can embrace silence in a world addicted to noise, you stand out instantly. Why women respond to Stoic silence? Let's be honest. Many men think that women want constant reassurance through endless words and attention. And yes, communication matters in relationships. But what truly draws a woman in isn't how much you say. It's how much meaning is behind what you say. A Stoic kind of silence communicates several things without you ever opening your mouth. Emotional control, you're not ruled by impulses. Confidence, you don't feel the need to prove yourself every second. Mystery, she can't quite figure you out, and that keeps her intrigued. Strength, you can handle discomfort without lashing out or oversharing. When a woman feels your silence, she's not feeling a void. She's feeling the presence of a man who is grounded, who knows who he is, and who isn't afraid to let her wonder, the wrong kind of silence before we go further. Let's be clear, not all silence is powerful. The silence born of fear, insecurity, or passive aggressiveness is not attractive. If your silence is about avoiding conflict because you're afraid to speak your mind, that's weakness, not strength. If your silence comes from resentment, but you refuse to address problems, that's emotional immaturity. The Stoic silence we're talking about here is active silence, a choice. It's when you could speak but choose not to, because silence will serve the moment better than words. The psychological effect of strategic silence in psychology. There's a principle called the pause effect. When you pause before responding, you create space, and in that space, the other person begins to fill in the blanks themselves. Silence can make people reflect, can make them question their assumptions, can make them reveal more than they intended. For example, in a disagreement, silence can diffuse tension because it refuses to escalate the noise. In attraction, silence can heighten anticipation because you're not rushing to give everything away. In leadership, silence can make your eventual words carry more weight when used with self-awareness and purpose. Silence becomes a tool, not a void. How to practice the Stoic art of silence at home. Start with awareness. Notice how often you speak just to fill space. Ask yourself, is what I'm about to say necessary, helpful, and true? Delay your responses when you feel the urge to respond instantly. Pause. Give yourself a breath, or even a few seconds before speaking. Use silence in conflict instead of arguing back immediately. Let the other person speak their full piece. Often, they'll reveal more than they planned, and you'll respond from a calmer place. Be comfortable with pauses in conversation. Not every moment needs to be filled. Learn to enjoy the quiet between words. It can actually deepen connection. Protect your inner world. You don't owe everyone access to your thoughts. Keep parts of yourself private until you trust someone enough to share. Overcoming the fear of silence. For many men, silence feels risky. They worry that if they don't speak, they'll lose the other person's interest or seem distant. But here's the truth. If someone's interest in you depends on constant stimulation, it's not a deep connection. It's entertainment. And entertainment always has an expiration date. When you stop fearing silence, you start attracting people who value your depth. It's not just your noise. The long-term benefits of mastering silence: you become more observant. Silence forces you to listen, not just to words, but to tone, body language, and unspoken feelings. You gain emotional strength. The ability to hold your ground without reacting impulsively is a form of mental resilience. If you build authority, people trust leaders who don't speak recklessly. You improve relationships when you speak less, but with more intention. Your words become memorable. Real-life example, the magnetic mentor. Think back to someone you've met, maybe a boss, a teacher, or even an older family member who rarely spoke. But when they did, everyone listened. They didn't need to prove themselves with constant chatter. Their silence wasn't cold, it was steady. And because of that, their presence alone influenced the room. That's the level of respect and attraction you can create, not just with women, but in every area of life. When you master the art of Stoic silence, when silence turns into an invitation in relationships, your silence can be an invitation for the other person to step forward. When you're not constantly filling the space, you give her room to express herself. It's to invest in the interaction. It's to feel like she's earning your attention. This isn't manipulation. It's balance. It's understanding that relationships work best when both sides contribute energy. It's not when one person is endlessly giving and the other is endlessly receiving. The final truth about Stoic silence at its core: mastering the art of silence isn't about her, it's about you. It's about being so comfortable with yourself that you don't fear stillness. It's about valuing your inner peace more than the temporary relief of filling every moment with words. It's about knowing that what you don't say can sometimes be more powerful than what you do. Closing, a call to the one listening now. If you've made it this far, it's because something inside you knows this truth. You don't have to be louder to be stronger. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone to be understood by the right people. And you don't have to chase approval when you can command respect simply by standing firm in who you are. So here's my challenge to you. This week, speak less and mean more. When the urge to fill the silence hits, pause. Let the moment breathe. Let others feel the depth in your presence. You'll be surprised at how much more magnetic you become when you stop trying to be heard and start letting yourself be felt. If this message resonated with you, if it sparked something inside, I invite you to join me here at Awaken Mindset, where we explore the truths that transform not just how others see you, but how you see yourself. Subscribe, share this with someone who needs it, and remember, the loudest man in the room is rarely the one in control. Choose your silence and let it speak for you.